Hooper. I was asked by a friend of mine if I would give a brake and paddle tutorial. And there are a lot of tutorials out there, but she asked me to just kind of break it down for, it took a little while for brakes and paddles to click with me. I've been hooping really only about 1.5 years, but there were a few things that clicked. You know, I would go watch other people's tutorials on YouTube of brakes and paddles, and all of that really helped. But what I found was there was like a missing link, I guess, that I didn't quite understand, and I kept doing it wrong, and it wasn't flowing like I saw all the other girls flowing with brakes and paddles. And it's really fun to do. I got a phone call. It's really fun to do. For me, it kind of turns into a meditation. But so first of all, this is a brake. When you go to spin the hoop around and you break it with your hand, sometimes your wrist or the palm, it just depends on how you do it. This is a brake, 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 brake. And what you're going to want to do with a brake is when the hoop is out in front of you, you're going to stop it here and push it back in the other direction. So, and you can do it when they're close together, not even a full rotation. So brake, 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 and you just kind of get used to your arms doing that movement. And if you notice, I'm kind of twisting my upper body, which helps keep it stable. But so you can start off with that, and it's just kind of, it's almost a robotic movement, you know. I kind of keep my feet still and twist a little more from the top, but sometimes I like to get my hips into it. But so anyway, without a full rotation turn, you just give it a push and stop it with your other hand when it comes right here on the other side, and push it the other direction. It's hard to do in this way, but brake, 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 brake. And the slower you go, it's actually a little wonkier. And then what else helped me, I learned from Deanne Love, is trying to do the shoulder part rather than in this short brake. Try to do it a little longer, and in that you still want to kind of keep your feet stable and also still twist your body with the hoop, because it kind of gives it momentum. But you're going to want it to spin 2 times around before you break it, and vice versa. So you're going to push it with one hand, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And if you notice the way I turn my body, it just kind of keeps the hoop not so wonky, because if you do it straight, it's a little harder. You kind of have to move with it. So once you get used to letting it go around your body 2 full rotations, and then breaking it and doing it back the other way, as well as this breaking. So these are just breaks. Then you can start working on paddles, and paddles are actually on the inside of your hoop, where your arm crosses over on the other side, and you kind of push the hoop out and almost paint your hand around the hoop. If you keep your hand on it, it actually makes it kind of wonky, but if you give it that initial paddle out in the beginning, then your arm just kind of follows so that you can bring it back up and break, if that makes sense. So a paddle is easier to do going in circles unless you're doing brakes and paddles. But to learn a paddle, let's see if I can do one for you. So you're gonna stick your arm in there. It's hard to do with a smaller hoop. And kind of just paint it. I don't know if that made sense. I can do it in a circle easier with this bigger hoop. And if you're new to this, do try a bigger hoop. It's a little harder on some of it because it's so wonky. This is a pretty big hoop. It's almost up to my belly button, and it's much heavier. So paddles. Remember what you want to do is when you have an opening, well, when the hoop comes close to here, that's when you want to push it out. And you kind of just push the hoop out and kind of paint around it if you can. And it does get wonky with just doing that. And you get dizzy. So that's a paddle. Let me get my smaller hoop because this one is really big for down here. So incorporating breaks and paddles, what you want to do is you're going to do a break, and as the hoop kind of comes up, that's when you stick your arm in and you wait. Sorry, have to connect it. Break, paddle, break, paddle, break, paddle. So you're going to do the break and stick your arm up in there and give it kind of that painting out. A little push, not a massive push or it's going to make your hoop wonky. So again, to incorporate this, you can't really do paddles so much with these short breaks. But if you're getting used to the 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, then you can break, paddle, break, paddle, break, paddle, break, paddle, break, paddle, break, paddle, break, paddle. And one thing that I noticed in the beginning that didn't click with me was I was putting my paddle hand in as I broke the hoop and then paddling, and it was making it really wonky. And then what clicked was after I do the break, then get my hand up there and paddle, and then it comes around and breaks, and then you get your hand in there and paddle, rather than what I was doing was like here I would break and paddle it, but then as I started to pull this hand out and break here, I would stick this one in too soon and was kind of paddling then breaking, and so well, this is what it looked like. See how I wasn't doing it so much on that was a normal one, sorry. I wasn't doing it so much on the right side. I would do break. Just a minute. I'm trying to connect here. Break, paddle, but then I would put this arm in like at the same time, and so it would make it fall every time rather than break, paddle, break, paddle, break, paddle, break, paddle. I was doing break, paddle, and both of them. See how not that time. I would put my arm in rather than letting it kind of float around in the bottom space. So this was what clicked with me. I hope it all makes sense, and I've never made a tutorial, so this is my first one. And I hope it makes sense. If you have any questions, let me know. But again, you can kind of start off, because this actually helped me a lot with shoulder hooping, was doing breaks and paddles, and then I got more comfortable with learning to turn with the hoop. But it's great exercise. It's great for the arms. So what you want to do, you can start out break, 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 paddle, break, paddle, break, paddle, break, paddle. And if it starts to get wonky, just go back to your breaks. And it does take a lot of drilling, but I have to say it's one of my favorite things to do. Just fun to dance to and get into whatever music you're jamming to. Anyway, happy hooping. Bye.